What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back to our Week 10 NFL Power Rankings. But before I get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Get to 200 subscribers, where we'll be doing an autographed item giveaway. Could be some autographed sports cards, some memorabilia. All you have to do is just hit that subscribe button to be entered. At 32, we have the Houston Texans coming off a loss to the Eagles, and they're 1-6-1. Really played competitive, though, through three quarters until the fourth, where the Eagles really took over and showed their dominance. The positive is Dameon Pierce. He's been a rookie running back that a lot of people overlooked in this year's draft, and he has been really good for the Texans, pretty much the only bright spot. Davis Mills doesn't look like he's going to be the answer for this franchise moving forward. So expect this team, to look to a quarterback early next year. 31, we have the Panthers, and, this one's going to be quick. They struggled. We're down 35 at half, and it was just really bad. The trade deadline, they didn't do well. They could have had 3 first-round picks, and they decided no to keep their 2 players. And then they go against the Falcons this week on Thursday Night Football, and we could get another shootout like we did before. 30, we have the Las Vegas Raiders, and this team, they just keep on getting worse. You can see there they were number 9 in my preseason rankings, and here they are all the way down to 30. And this is just due to them not finishing games and being able to close out. They were up 17-0 and absolutely got blanked, and they don't have anything to show for it. They have Davante Adams, who had a great game, and Derek Carr, who had a decent game, but the defense just couldn't come through when they needed it most. And I think another thing on offense is they haven't had Darren Waller for pretty much the whole year. And if they get him back healthy, it'll just be another weapon on the field. And I think that will help Derek Carr. 29, we have the Detroit Lions upsetting the Packers at home, getting the 2-6. And the crazy thing is, this team's only 2 games out of a wild card spot. Yes, that is correct. And the big thing for them is the defense. They came through in the red zone with 3 red zone interceptions of Aaron Rodgers and made him struggle all day. But the bigger storyline, after the win, they still were held to only 250 yards, and they grinded out that win. And this Lions team, they could go into Chicago, which the Bears have looked very good as well in these recent weeks, and get that win, go to 3-6. The Lions could be, turning a page here, but it's just going to have to come on Goff, playing a little bit better. 28, we have those Chicago Bears with a tough loss to the Dolphins. So I feel like I had to move them up here. They've played really good the last 2 weeks. Just the defense has let them down. And, they did trade Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn. So a little bit of adjustments moving forward. But Justin Fields is breaking out here. We saw him go for 178 total rushing yards with 1 touchdown and 3 passing touchdowns. And he had a field day against Miami's defense. Miami came through, in the third quarter, really put up that last touchdown, and their defense did their part in trying to limit them, but the offense just couldn't get it done. As they look to get to 4-6 against the Lions, which should be a pretty much deciding how these teams' seasons are going to go. 27, we have the Steelers coming off of a bye week to face the Saints at home. Their big storyline, TJ Watt, he's looking like he might return either this week or in a week or 2, which is great news for them. Najee just hasn't been himself this year. Hopefully he can get back on track in the second half. And same with Kenny Pickett. Now that he has had his time to relax, gets a week off, really prep more and get better, expect for him, in my opinion, to have a better second half. 26, we got the Colts, and their big story isn't even on the game. It's the firing of Frank Wright, and they're bringing in Jeff Saturday with only high school coaching experience. And, I think it's more of a culture change for the Colts. Maybe they just want to bring him in for the rest of the year, see how he does, and go from there. That's kind of my perspective on it. If it doesn't work out, okay, they tried for, the remaining 7 games or 8 games on their schedule. But it's going to be interesting to see how he does. And, if they get Jonathan Taylor back as well, that'll be a big boost for him as they go to face the Raiders. 25, we have the Cardinals, and this team, well, they just disappoint yet again. Last year they had the magical run, started 7-8-0, and kind of fell off the table, and they're still falling here. They lost 21-31 to the Seahawks. They have to play the Rams in LA next week, which is pretty much deciding how these 2 teams' fate is going to be this year, almost essentially. And the Cardinals, it's going to rely on Kyler Murray. If he can, have a repeat performance, maybe a tiny bit better, he will give them a shot. But the defense, really struggled for the Cardinals as they let up 3 late touchdowns going into the third quarter and going into the fourth. So if they want to play better, their defense is going to have to limit teams to around 20. The Jaguars are moving up after that big win against the Raiders. They are in the hunt still for the AFC South, with the Titans losing to the Chiefs. They're not too far out of it, but it's not looking probable at this point in the season. And if they really want to prove it, they're going to have to go into Kansas City and win this game. And if they do, then this Jaguars team might have something brewing in the second half here. But before we get there, we got to talk about Travis Etienne having two spectacular games ever since they traded James Robinson. And it looks like the Jaguars know what they're doing moving forward. Trevor Lawrence has played really well. And next year really could be the Jaguars, big season going forward. 23, we have my Packers. And unfortunately, it sucks to see them down here. At one point, they were ranked third, and here they're at 23. It's because they're on a 5-game losing streak. Rodgers just hasn't been himself this year. 3 red zone interceptions, and he also led the team in rushing yards last week, and that shows you how bad this Packers team is. And to make matters worse, Rashad Gary is out for the year with a torn ACL, and Romeo Doubs is out 4 to 6 weeks with a high ankle sprain, so it just keeps getting worse. But hey, I'm going to the game this Sunday, so maybe they'll pull one off for me. 22, we have the Broncos coming out of a bye to face a tough Titans team, and I think they're moving forward, it's going to come down to Russell Wilson. Obviously, he struggled a little bit, to say the least, in the first half. He's going to have to play better in the second half to really get this team back into the wild card race. 21, we have the Commanders, and I'm still moving them up after a loss to halt their winning streak. This is just due to part in them collapsing late in the fourth. They couldn't pull off the upset. They got the missed field goal and then went 3-0, and then Minnesota went back down, kicked the game-winning field goal. But Taylor Heinicke has been really doing well. They play good when Heinicke is starting. The culture just seems different when he's there. So expect him to really finish the year, in my opinion, if this Commanders team really wants a shot at the NFC wildcard. 20, we have the Rams, who also blew a lead late against the Bucks. They got Brady essentially. But this one, I kind of agree with Jalen Ramsey here. The offense is to blame after they got a key stop. Got the Bucks to go for on 4th down, didn't get it. And then the Rams get the ball and they go 3-and-out, and Brady just leaves on the field and wins. And that's, not on them. But a positive sign for this team is Cooper Kupp obviously had his ankle injury last week, and there was really no signs of that against the Bucks. So if this team wants to really turn it around, they're going to have to do so as quick as possible. So in this Cardinals game, it's the tale of both sides for both these teams to see who really wants it more. 19, we have the Browns moving up 1. This is just kind of where I thought they would be at 3-5 going into the bye week. And they really need this win against Miami to really give them a shot to make the playoffs, especially for Deshaun Watson coming back in 4 weeks. And I think it's possible, but it's going to come down to Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, the 1-2 duo. They are going to have some great games if this team wants to win. 18, we have the Saints staying put with their loss on Monday Night Football to the Ravens. They struggled a lot, but the bright side, they are only 1 game back in the NFC South, with the Falcons and Bucks being at 4-5. But moving forward, they got to beat the Steelers team, who's also, lower than them in the rankings. And if they beat them, then this team could be propelling back up, even in the first place in the NFC South. 17, we have those Falcons, who suffered a tough, heartbreaking loss. 17-20 versus the Chargers, almost the same exact thing that happened in 2020. Go look it up, the end, last minute. They had over 200 rushing yards, and if you can run the ball for almost 200 or more rushing yards, it's a great sign, and more than likely you're going to win the game. But unfortunately, they didn't get that done as they face the Panthers this week on Thursday Night Football. And the team leading the NFC South, you got the Bucks with come behind victory against the Rams. They're going to Germany this week to face the Seahawks, so make sure you guys are up early for that one. But I think the big story here is that Brady still has that dog in him. He got the ball back with less than a minute remaining, led the team down, scored with 9 seconds left. So if you're, doubting Brady, you can never do that. He had a good showing with that only touchdown this week, and I expect this Bucks team possibly to get back on track, and at least Brady to have another good game against the Seahawks. 15, we got those Chargers, and they're falling 2 spots after a win. I think this is more in part to the teams jumping them because they had bigger games and bigger wins. But they go against the 49ers in San Francisco, which should be a great game for these two teams on Sunday Night Football. But their story going into this week is Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Keenan Allen more than likely is possible to play. Mike Williams is not. But at the end of November, if these two still are nagging with injuries, then this Chargers team will be hurting going into the final stretch. 14, we have the Patriots, and they're staying put here after their big win against the Colts. They got 9 sacks. Judon is leading the league in sacks with 11.5. And they didn't really have to do anything on offense because how good this defense was. They only had 203 yards on offense. Mac Jones just did his job, managed the clock, led a few scoring drives, resulting in a lot of field goals, but no touchdowns, just one. But the Patriots going into the bye, I think pretty happy at 5-4 right now. And at 13, we have the Niners dropping 2 spots because of teams moving ahead of them with big games. They're 4-4 sitting at 500, but their big story, the CMC trade is looking like it's paid off in the first 2 weeks already. And Jimmy G needs to get his credit where credit is due. He's had an awesome year so far. 12, we have the Bengals staying put. They're going into a bye sitting at 5-4 as well. Mixon obviously had a day with 5 total touchdowns, 211 total yards, and they led 35 at half. And that's all you really need to know against the lowly Panthers. 11, you got the New York Jets surprising pretty much the world except me because I picked the Jets in the picks videos against the Bills. They got the win at home, 20-17, limited Josh Allen. And, you got to think, maybe a few calls here and there. But, at the end of the day, they still get the win. The defense is legit. If you can stop Josh Allen and the Bills, then you can stop almost anybody. And the ground game really took over with 174 rushing yards. So this team has looked a little better each and every week, and they're legit here sitting at 6-3. And at 10, starting our top 10, we got the Giants. They came off a bye for this week, going to face the Texans at home. Should be a easy win, if you want to say so. This week to get to 7-2 possibly. The defense has looked good, but speaking of that defense, Xavier McKinney's more than likely out a month with a hand injury due to an ATV accident in Cabo. So they're going to have to get him back healthy, as he as a leader on that defense and a captain. At 9, we got the Dolphins moving down 1 spot just because they had that close victory in Chicago, which was a good game to watch. But their big storyline is they're 6-0 when Tua is starting and finishing the game. And if that happens, this team's going to win the Super Bowl because they can't lose. But with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle right now going off and doing what they're doing and having that great connection with Tua immediately, this team looks scary, and it's a bad week to be the Browns. 8, we have the Titans moving down 2 spots with their tough loss in overtime to the Chiefs. And they did blow a lead, yes. But the big thing is the pass interference on Kelce that didn't get called. They got called for it. Rough week to be a Titans fan, to say the least. But, hey, you still got Derrick Henry. 7, we got the Seattle Seahawks, and they come off a win in Arizona, and they're going to Germany to face the Bucs. They're riding a 4-game win streak right now. Kenneth Walker has looked great since Penny has went down. And this defense is a top-tier defense that is not getting enough credit. Geno Smith even as well. I just think the whole team sitting at 6-3 is above everyone's expectations and doing their part to really stay atop the NFC West. At 6, we got the Ravens moving up with a good win on Monday Night Football in New Orleans, a win they needed, and you can thank the ground game. They've had 150 rush yards for the 8th game in a row. Kenyon Drake had a great game. Lamar obviously had another great game as well. So this Ravens team heads into the bye at 6-3, sitting atop the AFC North. At 5, we have the Cowboys staying put, coming out of their bye week. They're going to go to Green Bay, and I'll see them. But their big story is Pollard and Zeke. Who's going to get the most carries? And I think it will be Pollard again, at least for this week, just because Zeke has been hurt. And Prescott, he's looked great as well. And this team could be in the running for Odell. So you can't rule out the Cowboys possibly signing him. At 4, we have the Chiefs with their overtime victory over the Titans. They get the Jaguars at home this week. And, Mahomes throwing it 68 times was, unheard of at this point in the NFL. And he threw for 446 yards, a touchdown, 63 rushing yards, and a touchdown. So this Chiefs team just finds ways to win. They get it done almost every week, and I expect for them to get it done again this week. 3, we have the Buffalo Bills, and they're falling 1 spot just because of the loss to the Jets. Their big concern this week is Josh Allen, his UCL, which is like under here. He threw the ball and it got popped. He had that injury before in his career, and that's the last time he's missed a game in 2018. So hopefully it's nothing too concerning. Obviously no one wants to see one of the best quarterbacks, most best players in the game get hurt. It's bad for the game, whatnot. But if he doesn't go this week, Case Keenum will be stepping in against the number 2 ranked Minnesota Vikings, and they're coming off a win 20-17 against the Commanders, and they're going to Buffalo, riding a 6-game winning streak. They're also 7-1 for the first time since 2009. So it's been a while. And what can't you like about this Vikings team? TJ Hockenson steps in immediately, 9 catches, 90 yards. He goes off. Kirk Cousins plays great as well. Justin Jefferson scores his first touchdown since week 1. So this team just keeps on getting better and better each week. And at 1, we got to put the undefeated Eagles here with their Thursday night win over the Texans. And it wasn't pretty. They only won by 12, which they should have, blew them out of the water here. But if you go and look at all the teams they've played, their best team they played has been Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, but it was in prime time. So you know how Kirk is in prime time. And other than that, nobody else has a winning record besides the Cowboys. It's just Minnesota and Dallas. So really, 6 of those wins have come against teams they really should beat. And they've been improving themselves in 2 games. But Jalen Hurts, regardless, is having a great year. He's doing what he can do to really get this team in prime position to win. And they should do it again this week against the Commanders. But that's going to be it for the video today. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button to be entered into our giveaway at 200. Till next time, Bench Buddies are out.